that is bothering us in this moment, so we can connect with Jesus in this moment, so we can connect with our guardian angels, mentors of the house, evolving, surrounding us in this moment. We have been prepared to be here. We have been involved throughout the day to be here together tonight. So we thank all the good spirits that have been with us, all of our guardian angels, our friendly mentors. We thank Jesus and God for the opportunity that we have to be here today together to learn a little bit more about Spiritism. We ask that Jesus stay with us, involving, embracing each one of us, incarnated, discarnated, all the spiritual friends that are here to learn with us as well. May they all receive light, may they all receive love. May we all prepare ourselves throughout the lecture, working inside of us to receive the passes later on. Stay with us, dear Jesus. Bless this moment. Bless our meeting tonight. So it is. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here. We're gonna start. And so tonight we're gonna talk a little bit about, the topic tonight is called When Faced with Death. So we're going to talk a little bit about the discarnation process, the process of discarnation, I guess that's how I should say. I'm going to go through the slides. I'm going to explain, go through the story that we're going to talk about here. And if you guys have any questions, if you want to ask anything, say anything, please unmute yourself. Please say something, ask questions, participate. You'll be, it's always great to have us all interacting. I know it could be a difficult topic, but it's good that we interact, that we talk, and that we share, so we can all learn more with one another as well. So the presentation today is based on a book called The Crisis of Death. In Portuguese, it's called A Crise da Morte. And it actually comes from the original of this book is called La Crise de la Morte. And the author is Ernesto Bozano. This book is let me go to the other one. So it's like a bunch of stories, communication from spirits, discarnated spirits, when they come and they tell about how was the process of their discarnations, what happened, how they felt. And there's actually a total of 17 cases on this book. There are 17 chapters. Each chapter is called case number 1, case number 2, case number 3. And there are 17 psychographs there, communications from different spirits. And we're going to talk briefly about one of the stories in the book. So if you are interested, if you put, for those that read in Portuguese, if you put on Google A Crise da Morte, livro, Ernesto Bozano, you're going to find it on the website viveespirita.com. We have, it is in there too as a PDF to download. And I guess you could probably even find the original if you read that language. But so we're going to go and start with the story that, brings to us. And I want to say that this is one of the cases, right? Like I said, there's 17. There are 17 in this book. And each one is different. Each one is particular, and it tells a different story. So it's not because it was like this with this particular spirit, with this particular person when he discarnated, that it is like that with everyone, right? But we can talk a little bit more about that when we, as we go. So the communicating spirit, in this case, he's an American character, actually. And when he was incarnated, he occupied a very high position in politics. And he was a good person. He was a person that had ethics. So you're going to see that his discarnation process was very smooth, and he received a lot of help. So the objective of the communication is to talk about the moment of his death, how he reacted, what he felt, how he perceived it. So initially, he was sick, and initially when he was taken by different sensations, right? And in the book it says that it was similar to what someone would experience when suddenly waking up from a deep sleep. So imagine, we probably have all been there when you're really sleeping deeply, and you wake up like with like a shock. You kind of feel like, whoa. And usually that happens when we are sleeping, and that happens is because we return this pure spirit that was detached during the night, but it's still attached with the silver cord. Even we can see the silver cord here in this picture. When we wake up like suddenly, then the pure spirit comes like really quickly to the body, so it gives us that shock. And the feeling, the sensation that this man had was kind of like that. He felt like a quick detachment, like if was awake from a deep sleep. And he didn't know, what was going on. At first, he didn't understand. He could not tell what was going on. He wasn't aware, at first. So, but little by little, as he kind of awoke in that state, in the spiritual side of things, he started to notice what was going on. He started to kind of feel situated. Again, like, when we sometimes, I don't know if you guys have felt this, I have, when suddenly waking up in the night, when you're sleeping deeply, and then sometimes you don't even know where you are, and you have to kind of look around and see, like, and then you feel like, okay, I woke up, and then you kind of come back to yourself. That's how he felt. He started to notice that he was in his bedroom in his house, but he also he saw his physical body laying in bed, right, and discarnated, like he was dead. And so at first, when he saw that he was separated from his body, when he looked at himself, he would see himself as he is, with the same shape, same color, it's the same way. He would think, looking back at himself, he thought that he was still alive. And at the same time, he was seeing his body there in bed. So he was really scared. He was totally confused at that moment. He did not know that he had died. He did not know what happened, you know. And this is very common. It's very common that the person, especially for those that are not prepared in terms of like not knowing spiritism, not understanding that when the body perishes, when the body dies, that the spirit continues living. So we can, as we can imagine, it's quite normal for people to die, to discarnate, and not understand what is going on. And and then they start to realize, to understand the situation when they see their bodies, away from where their pure spirit is. So he didn't know. But then a little bit like soon after that, as soon as he started to get situated and he started to kind of praying, asking for help, he noticed his wife, his wife that had discarnated a little bit before him previously, a few years before he did. And she was there by his side, and she was smiling to him. So here in this picture we see the lady by the bed, but he didn't see her in that way because he was detached from the body already. So he saw her smiling, and then she explained to him, that he had died. She explained to him. Then he understood that he actually had passed away. And she told him that she had been taking care of him, by his bedside, that she's been there, throughout his problems, and that she was already waiting, preparing, waiting, preparing his spirit, and she was ready and prepared to help him, to go back to the spiritual world. And this brings attention to us to something that, for us that I have had some experience with loved ones when, for example, I'll give the example of my grandmother. I remember when she was very sick, she passed away with cancer, and she was very sick. And I remember one day I was there with her. There were two beds on the bedroom that she was, and I was sitting on the other bed, and she was like, I think she passed away the next day or 2 days after that. She kept telling us like that she was seeing her husband there, and she was like, he's here, he's here, he's here, he's here to help me, he's here, I can see it, look, he's right there. And she would point it where he was and everything. And so she was in that case, she was actually able even to notice him there. So it kind of makes, and at that time it made me feel like, oh, they really come to help, right? And for a lot of my family members, they were scared. And I remember the nurse that was taking care of my grandmother, she wasn't, she was a little scared with that, but she mentioned another two names also, a few other names of people that had passed, like her siblings and people that had passed before her. So when we when we discarnate, there's always help available. There's always help for everybody, for all of us. And if we have the merit to receive our loved ones, to receive that immediate help, like the man here in this story, we will have that help. If we're humble enough and we're open also to receive and to ask for help. When we know that we need it. So so she went there to help him, and as soon as she explained to him and he understood, he started to feel better, right? So changes came. He started to feel better. He noticed that his faculties were in full activity, so he started to perceive things better, to hear, to see. He understood, and he embraced that spiritual, the life, the spiritual aspect of who he was, understanding that he was not the body anymore. So he started to feel happier, to see that he was not alone, to see that he had help in there, that he had a loved one there to help him, to embrace him, because on the moment of death, there's a lot of confusion that comes to us, that comes to the spirit. So it is important to feel that we are supported at that point. And that's how this man felt. He felt that he was supported, and he started to find a sense of relief and find something good in that moment and understand that moment with some joy. Does anybody have any questions so far?
No.
Okay, so keep going. So then, once he understood, and he was totally and fully detached from the body, completely, disconnected. When the perispirit and the spirit was completely disconnected from the physical body, then his wife took him, by the hand, and they both ascended through the bedroom ceiling. And when the spirits are kind of flying in the air, and we say they're volitating. That's how we say in spiritism. So she embraced him, and they were able to ascend to a higher sphere, to kind of to pass from the Earth's crust and the atmosphere that we are here through another place. And so he was, he went to, usually when a spirit goes, when soon after death, there's a period of rehabilitation. There's a period for the spirit to get used to that to that new reality, right? So he went to be taken care of, like we see on André Luiz book and on Nosso Lar, when his case was different because he went to Leon Brau and then he was taken to a colony of rehabilitation. So, but he went to a place where he received all the care that he needed, with for the spirit, the pure spirit. He received nourishment, he received passes and all that. So this man here, he also received all that, right? And he went to a colony, a place of rehabilitation, with the help of his wife and and the good spirits that were there to assist him in his needs. But even though he was away from Earth, even though he was totally detached from the physical body, he still continued to have knowledge of what was going on. So there was this. Usually, when the spirit discarnate, he goes to a different sphere, but we are still connected through our emotions. So he was still connected through the emotions of his loved ones that he left behind. And particularly in this case, he was very connected to his daughter. She was very sad because the mom died a little earlier than the father, and she started to kind of feel that sadness deeply in herself. So she was depressed. She was crying a lot, thinking a lot about him, and all those mental emissions, all those feelings, all those emotions. She was sending that to him, and he was receiving, and that was creating, causing him this sensation of lethargy, the sensation, like, as the same way that she was depressed, he started feeling that sadness, feeling those, that was draining his energy as well. The same way that she didn't have enough energy, he was feeling that drainage on himself. And we another book that has the same type of example, and that we studied in the study now in the summer, was the violets on the window. This one we have in English, Violets on the Window. In Portuguese is Violetas na Janela, by the spirit Patricia. And Patricia, she discarnated she was 19 years old, and she had an aneurysm, and she discarnated. And her case was kind of similar. The help that she received, it was almost, it was not the same as these the same process as this case, but she went directly to a place of rehabilitation with loved ones, and she met her grandmother there, and very good spirits that were helping her. But and then she went to live with her grandmother in the spiritual world, and it was and Patricia relates in this book that her mom was really sad when she passed away, which we can just imagine, right? And she could feel that, she could feel that her mom was really sad. So every time that her mom cried, she could feel that she had those feelings. It's the Violets on the Window is, by the way, a very good introductory book, and a very good book overall to explain the spiritual world and the discarnatory process. There's Patricia's example, as well as some others. She meets more people throughout the book. It's a very short book. I think it's about 80 pages, so it's worthy checking out. And she could feel it as well. So in the case that we're studying tonight, he could feel those mental emissions. He could feel the sadness. And that was causing some perturbation for him. So that teaches us, kind of brings us the understanding that the discarnated people, they are sensitive to our vibrations, right? To our thoughts, to our emotions. So everything that we are emitting, every time we're thinking about them, we are sending that mental emission. We're kind of it's almost like if we think about them, we kind of pull them to us, because then we put that mental image and we bring them to us, you know, in a way. And sometimes if every time we think about them, we think with sadness, we think, you know, a lot of times we see people say, why did it happen? Why did it have to die? You know, and that puts, you know, kind of generates all the feelings that the person have, is generating disturbance to the discarnate. It can generate guilt, it can generate sadness, it can generate so many like lower feelings, negative feelings to the discarnate spirit. And at a point where the discarnate spirit actually need help, you know, he needs to restore, to regenerate himself, so he can continue his path in the spiritual world. So it's something for us to think about, you know, how is our conduct when we lose someone, or when we are faced with death, you know. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as well. So those crises of pain, you know, for the loss, when people die, it can create like all these dark and harmful vibrations. We end up trapping the person, the discarnated person's spirit, in the case, you know, in sadness and negative vibration. So, like I said, you know, they receive and feel vibrational impact, and they enter the disturbed state, which can keep them trapped on Earth. So we keep kind of pulling them back here every time we think about them. We kind of keep, instead of letting them go and receive the help and be helped and disconnect so they can follow with their path, we kind of keep them, tugging them back to Earth. So what is our conduct when we're faced with death? You know, so we have to try to maintain serenity, especially us that, you know, have this understanding, that have this idea, this notion, you know, we understand the process. And it doesn't mean that because we are spiritists we don't cry, we don't feel the loss, you know, we don't get sad. That's absolutely not true, you know, it's not, that's not what I mean. You know, we can cry, we are gonna feel the loss, we are gonna grieve, you know, that's, you know, it's obvious, it's, we have feelings, we are humans, you know, when it's someone we really love, we'll have those feelings. It's inevitable, but it is the way that we conduct ourselves, you know. So, oh, you know, I'm sad because I lost him, and I'm sad because I lost a loved one. You know, we can feel that, you know, but we cannot keep, like, you know, emitting thoughts of why did this happen, you know, rebelliousness or revolt because someone died, because we in terms we lost someone. I remember Zivaldo always says that, you know, when that we have this term that we use, that, oh, I lost my brother, I lost someone, and he always says that we don't lose anyone, you know, we don't have anyone in that sense. We don't owe anyone, so we don't lose anyone. It's just a brief moment of separation, right? So being serene at these moments, trying to maintain a certain serenity in our thoughts, you know, a little clarity in our minds, emits more luminous, more light, you know, vibrations of light that will involve that spirit, you know, and more peace. And that's going to help that disconnection and their adaptation in the spiritual world, which, you know, is what they need, is when they get there, right? Is what they need when they arrive. And then the spirit in particular, he mentions that when he arrived in the spiritual world, that it was easy, you know, that he had a feeling of being back home, and that he got to meet relatives that had passed away before him. He got to meet friends that, you know, received him with love, with care. So he was embraced, and he was not in a place that he didn't know. He was not alone. He was, you know, he was back home. To him, the sensation was that he was back home. And the adaptation of him, his adaptation there, he relates in the book, and when he gave the communication, that it was easy, and that his comparison was that he felt that it was a lot. He adapted to the new situation and to the new place, the new reality in place, that he was much easier than when he was living on earth and he had to kind of move from one house to another, from one place to another. So the process of adaptation was easy because he was really, the feeling was that he was really going back home. He really felt that that's where he belonged, and that's what it is, right? It's a I remember, I think Divaldo said in one of the speeches that I heard him, I remember he said that death is nothing more, it's simply a passport to our real life. It's a passport to life. That when we die, when we discarnate, then we go back home. That's what Spiritism brings to us, right? Teaches us, right? It's one of the main teachings of Spiritism is talking about the reincarnation and how we are here in on earth as if we are on a school, for a period of time, for a brief period of time, when you consider the eternal spirits that we are, right? So the spirit relates that his adaptation was easy, right? So then we bring a little bit back to us here. Anybody want to say something? Okay, so I'll keep going and you can talk at the end then.
Yeah, very good talking. Keep going, please.
Okay, thank you. So we bring it back now to ourselves, to our conduct. Are the what are the way that we should conduct ourselves, that we should place ourselves in these types of situations. So the guidelines, the orientation that the high spirits and the good spirits give to us when we are faced, with death in our family, with friends, with loved ones. So in the book O Pensamento de Emmanuel, so Emmanuel's Thoughts by Martins Peralva, he talks a little bit about that, so that when we lose someone, that pain of separation, the pain that we feel because we lost someone, it should be relieved when when we have faith and we know about the future life, when we have faith in that future life. And that's what Spiritism brings to us. Spiritism brings to us this understanding of the future life. It strengthens our faith. It helps us see this life as a passage, and strengthens us to go when we're done here on earth, to have the hope, and that there's something even better, something even bigger and more wonderful out there for us after this, right? And he also tells us that that does not mean the end to a life, right? So it's only a passage, right? It's not the end of everything. It's the end of this physical body, the physical body that we are using, that it's serving us in this life, in this reincarnation. But our spirit remains the same. We're gonna leave behind a shell. So imagine when when some insects, they have an exoskeleton, right? They have like an outer shell that as they grow, they need to kind of shed that shell so they can grow their body. I think the lobster is like that. It has an exoskeleton. I think it is. So as the lobster grows, she loses the shell, and then she can grow a new shell so she can get bigger because the shell is tiny. So we are in the shell. We are incarnated. We are in flesh, and so this flesh we leave behind. But our spirit, our essence, who we truly are, we are still alive. That still lives. That Devout also says that spiritism killed death, right? Because there's no death. That doesn't, doesn't mean anything other than just a passage, just really like a temporary absence, a change of place. It's like we're moving from here to there. And in this particular case, this particular case in the book with this spirit communicating, this is how he shows us. This is what he portrays us: is this temporary absence, this change of place, and in a way, what he shows us is this a change to a much better place, to a place where he truly feels he belongs. So, the spirit continues his journey full of opportunities of progress while he's still in the spiritual world. So we never stop learning, we never stop evolving, we never stop growing, be whether we're here or there, right? Because even when we're here, we never stop learning. So it's there's so many opportunities for us there, and if we understand this, if we carry this understanding, this knowledge to us, with us throughout our life here, every time that we are faced with death, it gives us a comfort, a consolation. It gives us hope. It gives us this understanding that our loved ones are going to be taken care of, that our loved ones are going to good places, and that they will have so many opportunities, so many chances for them, after they pass away from the physical plane. So the Christian conduct, right? So the what Martin Spiralba brings on his book is like, asking us that when we're faced with that, to be, to have this resignation, to accept the passage of our loved ones, to not fall into desperation, thinking that we are alone, or that they are alone, or that they're going to suffer. So strengthen ourselves in prayer and faith, because this is what they need to feel from us, right? So, and yeah, so whatever the importance of loss and pain may be, remain strong, diminishing any manifestation of sorrow and desperation, trying to present yourself calmly at funerals. So when we go to a funeral, we, this is a way for us to conduct ourselves, not go sobbing and get desperate over the coffin or over the body of the person, because a lot of times the discarnated spirit can be right there, if he's still attached to his body, if he's still suffering the separation of the spirit with the body, with the physical body, the physical body, he can be there, he might be right there next to the coffin. He might be, he might not know how to disconnect. So we have to try, knowing, having this knowledge, is our duty. It's our really, it will be like our duty to remain in prayer and to send light to this spirit that discarnated, and to ask for help for this soul. So if it's someone that is very close and dear to your heart, right, consider that he needs your courage and your trust in God. Consider that this spirit needs your faith, So if we're there and we're crying, we're sobbing, we're desperate, we're admitting difficulty and disturbance to that brother or sister. But if we're there and we're praying for the good spirits to come and help our loved one and embrace our loved one and take them to a place of rehabilitation and involve him or her on all their needs, then we're strengthening this brother and sister too, through these steps of, and through the separation as well, because we stay behind and we feel the separation, but they also feel the separation. It's not just whoever is left here on the physical plane that feels the pain of separation, like we mentioned before. The spirits also feel it. They feel that they want to be close to their loved ones, when they especially when we see It's like if we're here incarnated and we see our children crying or our parents or a friend crying, what we want to do is go there and give them a hug and comfort them and say, no, it's okay. Hey, everything's going to be okay. Stop crying. I'm here. And so the spirit, the discarnate spirit also feels that. And he also feels himself in that position of wanting to go and embrace and help, or but at that moment he's not in a position to help because he is in need of help, especially when a spirit dies, and he dies from a person died from a disease that was consuming the body, or from sometimes from accidents. That can leave marks on the perispirit, and if the person is attached, she can still feel the pain in the perispirit in a way, so depending on how connected he or she is to the physical body, the physical world. So it is, this is a moment where they need all the help and support that they can get from the spiritual friends and also from us, right? It's hard, like, we do not want to cause any more harm and more sadness and difficulties on this, during this moment of disconnection, of detachment, of, finding themselves in a new position. So if you do not accept separation, questioning the divine designations, your desperation reaches your beloved one like a tornado of anguish. This is on another book called Who is Afraid of Death by Richard Simonet. So something for us to think, to consider and to try to ponder. So, Martin Sprava on the book, he tells us, that the conduct. Oh, I see that I didn't translate this title. Oops. So it says Christian conducts on funerals, like the one before. I apologize. Um, so he says, cultivate serenity, emit peaceful thoughts, stop any improper conversations. So we have to kind of pay attention on what we're talking there, because we do not want also to be bringing negative topics, starting talking about politics, or start criticizing this or that or whatever it is, and then start to kind of attract even kind of lower energies, and not cooperate with the environment, which is already heavy in a way, right? So we gotta analyze our conduct, and always stay in prayer, right? Prayer for the ones that stayed, prayer for the incarnated ones, prayer for the one that discarnated. Sending love and light, bringing light and love, especially light, a lot of light to a place which is already rather dark, rather sad, right? So the newly discarnated friends always ask without words for the charity of prayer and silence in order to help them during this transition. So many of the um, of the spirits on the book, that they when they come back to tell about their experiences, they ask that uh, in their communications, they they ask the mediums to tell people, that, please, instead of getting into desperation, let's pray, to bring more light, more silence, and more prayer during this time, because it is a rather difficult time for everybody, for all of us. So, and he also says here, remember that one day you will be in that position, right? That you will still be in a way trying, still attached to those impressions of the physical life, and still trying to disconnect in a serene and peaceful way, and at that time, at that point, what would want for us, we will want for respect, for love, of course. It's not that we don't want anybody to cry for us, but it's like we'll probably not want anything that would kind of make it even harder that already is. So something And it's like Jesus said, right? Do to others what you would like to be done to you. So it applies in this situation as well. So the reflection for us is, the pain of separation is fair and understandable, right? For all of us, regardless if we are spiritists or not. There is pain, there is sadness, but it should not be greater than the certainty that life proceeds beyond the physical body, and it's full of opportunities. So our faith should be stronger at times like these. So that was it. Anybody want to say anything?
Hey Anna, this is Cara. I just wanted to say thank you for such a good message tonight. And this morning I was reading from Happy Life, and it said that death is just a change of address. And I thought that was so interesting because that's a common form that people in America fill out when you move, right? So your mail will go from your old place to your new place. And that's how Joanna DeAngelis characterized it. It was just a change of address. I never thought about it that way because that's really what it is. We just change addresses, and we get our mail at the new place, right?
Yeah, that is true.
So yeah, that's thank you. Such a good message.
Thank you for your comment, because this is what this spirit, communicating spirit, relates as well. That he felt like he was just like changing, homes. And that actually that transition, that change was even easier than when he changed homes, when he changed addresses, here on when he was incarnated. So, okay, and with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, tell everybody that we are starting our study, Get to Know Spiritism, and on this Saturday, and we're going to be talking about discarnation, reincarnation, incarnation, all the basic topics in Spiritism. So I just want to invite everybody to participate with us. It's 100% virtual. It's free, accessible for everyone. So
thank you.
Okay.
Now, I would like to share my screen, if possible.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to share now or after the passes?
After the pass, let's do that. After the pass, I have more.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to put the passes for us here. It's all. We're going to, oops. Let's all close our eyes and start to prepare ourselves for the passes in this moment. Let's prepare ourselves now for the moment of the passes and the blessing of our water. Place by your side a container with clean water to be blessed and magnetized. Dear brothers and sisters, no matter where you are in this moment, what difficulties you're facing, Jesus is always ready to come to our help. Place yourself now in a comfortable position, one that facilitates concentration and receptivity. Breathe slowly and calmly. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Fill your lungs with air and release slowly. Let the energy of tranquility and peace penetrate your lungs and circulate throughout your body. Your soul, in harmony with your body, feels peaceful and at peace. Let us think now about the passage of Jesus among us. In a beautiful and clear day, the golden rays of the sun illuminating the joyful landscape, multicolored flowers, bouncing, chirping birds, Fill the landscape with optimism. The news of the cures brought a crowd of needy people around Jesus. Suddenly, Jesus appears, calm and serene. His white tunic is light and long all the way up to his feet. At the sunset, all those who were sick and affected by different diseases were brought to him, and Jesus, laying his hand on each one, healed them, as narrated in the Gospel of Luke. Let's mentalize now Jesus approaching us in this moment, placing his friendly hands on top of your head. Feel the presence of this Divine Master right with you, feeling like a waterfall of pure and crystalline waters start to fall from his hands, coming from his love to bathe you, falling on your head, streaming down your shoulders, bathing your whole entire being, bringing you peace, serenity, and balance, cleaning all impurities and pacifying yourself. Feel these waters bathing you, cleansing, and purifying. Breathe. Now think of Jesus as a sun right before you, his light, his warmth, embracing you, enveloping you. Feel the healing emerging, emanating from Christ towards you. He hears your prayers. Trust him. His love is infinite. He is always by your side, protecting, offering everything you need. Trust him. Feel and absorb all these magnificent healing energies coming from Jesus in this moment. His light surrounds and embraces you. Feel these energies running throughout your body. Feel yourself re-energized, strengthened, and at peace. Dear Lord Jesus, our divine friend, extend your generous hands, Lord, and transform these waters into remedies for our physical and spiritual ailments. Hold us, Jesus, in your peace. Extend your vibrations of love for the benefit of my home, dear Lord. May peace, health, tranquility reign here with my family. We give thanks to you, Jesus, and pray that you stay with us today and always. Thank you, God.